The conference room stretched 300 meters across, carved from a single piece of crystal that had taken 2 centuries to grow. Ambassador David Chun walked through the massive doors, his black suit pressed sharp enough to cut, his leather shoes clicking against the polished floor. Behind him, his team of 5 followed in perfect formation, each carrying slim tablets and wearing the same calm expression their ambassador wore. Around the circular table sat representatives from 47 species. Some breathed methane through tubes. Others floated in containment fields. A few were so large their delegates had to attend via hologram. They all turned to watch the humans enter, and Chun could feel the weight of their judgment. Zathorn, the Vex representative, leaned forward on 4 of his 6 legs. His species had been apex predators on their home world for 10 million years. They could smell fear, read body language, detect the smallest hint of deception. He watched Chun with golden eyes that never blinked. "The Council recognizes the human delegation," Zathorn said, his voice translated into something Chun's brain could process. "You seek membership in the Galactic Council. This is your opportunity to present your case." Chun placed his tablet on the table in front of him. He did not sit. Instead, he stood with his hands clasped loosely in front of him, his posture relaxed but not casual, professional, controlled. "Thank you, Representative Zathorn," Chun said. "Humanity comes before this council with respect and hope. We understand we are young. We understand we are small. We have much to learn from the civilizations gathered here." He tapped his tablet. Information flowed to each representative's personal display. Economic data, scientific achievements, cultural exchanges already underway with 17 different species, trade agreements, medical breakthroughs shared freely. "We believe we can contribute to the galactic community," Chun continued. "Not through military might or political pressure, but through cooperation and mutual benefit." A representative from the Krell Dominion, a species that looked like a cross between a bear and a scorpion, made a sound that the translator rendered as laughter. "Contribution? Your species controls 12 planets. We control 400. Your military could not defeat a single one of our patrol fleets. What exactly do you bring to this council besides desperation?" Chun's expression did not change. His smile remained polite, almost warm. "A valid perspective, Representative Thokmer. We do not claim military superiority. We claim only a willingness to learn and grow alongside you all." Zathorn studied Chun's face. The human's heart rate had not increased when insulted. His breathing remained steady. The muscles around his eyes showed no tension. It was not natural. When Zathorn says people were insulted, their bodies prepared for violence, whether they acted on it or not. It was biology, instinct, chemistry. But humans seemed to have complete control over those responses. Or they were hiding them so deeply that even Zathorn's predator senses could not detect them. The questioning continued for 3 hours. Each representative probed humanity's weaknesses, their intentions, their capabilities. The Krell representative was particularly aggressive, questioning why the council should accept such an insignificant species. Each time, Chun responded with the same measured courtesy. He never raised his voice. He never showed irritation. He conceded points that did not matter and held firm on points that did not. It was like watching someone play a game they had practiced for years. During a brief recess, Zathorn approached Chun near the refreshment area. "Your control is impressive," the Vex said. "My species prides itself on emotional discipline, yet I can sense we are not as practiced as you appear to be." Chun poured himself water from a dispenser. His hand did not shake. "Diplomacy requires patience, Representative. My government chose me for this role because I understand the importance of first impressions." "First impressions," Zathorn repeated. "Yes, And what impression do you hope to make? That humanity can be trusted to follow rules, Chine said simply. That we understand our place. That we value peace and cooperation above conflict. And is this true? Chun met Zethon's golden eyes. For just a moment, the Vex thought he saw something move beneath the surface of that calm expression. Something vast and cold. Then it was gone, and Chun was smiling again. Every word I have spoken is true, Representative. The session reconvened. The Council's chief psychologist, a being of pure energy named Shimmer, presented their evaluation of humanity. The species demonstrates remarkable emotional control. Perhaps too remarkable. We detect no deception in their statements, yet we note an unusual disconnect between what they must feel and what they display. Concerning, another representative said. This suggests either extensive training in deception or a fundamental difference in emotional processing. Or simply good manners, Chan offered. Humans have learned that expressing every emotion immediately is counterproductive to building relationships. We are capable of great feeling, but we have also learned when to set those feelings aside for greater purposes. The vote was called. 28 in favor. 17 against. 2 abstentions. Humanity was granted provisional membership, subject to review in one standard cycle. Chum bowed slightly to the council. Thank you for this opportunity. We will prove worthy of your trust. As the human delegation left, Zothorn watched them go. They walked in formation, their posture identical, their expressions neutral. Not celebrating their victory, not showing relief. Just walking, controlled, measured, professional. He had seen this behavior once before, in a documentary about Earth's predators. Wolves tracking prey across vast distances. Never stopping. Never showing fatigue. Never letting the prey see desperation or rage. Just following. Patiently. Inevitably, Zethorn made a note in his personal log. Recommend continued observation of human emotional responses under stress. Current behavior patterns suggest either exceptional discipline or predatory patience. Unable to determine which. Both possibilities warrant caution. The crystal room emptied slowly. Chum's water glass still sat on the refreshment table, abandoned. Zethon walked over and looked at it. Not a fingerprint on its surface. Even in casual moments, humans left no mark. No evidence of their presence except what they chose to leave. It should have been reassuring. Instead, it made Zethorn's skin crawl in a way he had not felt since he was prey himself. Millions of years ago in his species, evolutionary past, the emergency signal reached the Galactic Council at 0347 Standard Time. Zethorn was still awake, reviewing trade reports, when his personal communicator flashed red. Red meant loss of life. Red meant violence. Red meant someone had broken the most fundamental rule of civilized space. The details came through in fragments. Human mining colony. Outer Rim. 20,000 inhabitants. Krell Dominion forces. No survivors. Zethorn's claws extended involuntarily. He had seen war before. He had commanded fleets in his youth. But the Council existed to prevent this exact scenario. The Krell had just committed an act that would normally trigger collective military response. Except the victim was humanity. New to the Council. Weak. Insignificant in the calculations of power that govern galactic politics. By morning, the Council chamber filled with representatives. The Krell delegation arrived looking smug. They knew the mathematics. A military response would cost trillions. Economic sanctions would hurt everyone. The most the Council ever did in these situations was condemn, sanction, and quietly negotiate compensation. The human delegation arrived exactly on time. Ambassador Chun wore the same black suit he had worn 3 cycles ago during humanity's acceptance. His team followed information. Their faces showed what might have been grief, but under tight control. Managed. Contained. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Chun," Zathorn said. His voice felt heavy. "We have received reports of the incident at New Guangzhou Colony. On behalf of the Council, I express our deepest thank you, Representative Zathorn," Chun interrupted gently. "Humanity appreciates the Council's concern. We request permission to present evidence to the assembled body." Chun's tablet projected images into the center of the chamber. Holographic recordings from the colony's final moments. Civilians running. Children screaming. Krell soldiers methodically eliminating every human they found. The footage lasted 8 minutes. No one spoke during it. When it ended, Chun stood in silence for 10 seconds. Then he spoke. 20,417 human beings died 3 days ago. The youngest was 6 months old. The oldest was 93 years. They were miners, teachers, farmers, engineers, artists, and families. They were guilty of existing on a planet the Krell Dominion wanted. His voice never rose, never broke. Each word was measured and clear. Representative Thokmer of the Krell stood. His massive frame towered over most of the chamber. The colony was established in contested territory. We issued warnings. They were ignored. The Dominion has every right to secure borders through necessary force. Necessary force, Chun repeated. He looked at Thokmer for a long moment. Then he smiled. That same professional smile. "Representative Thokmer, humanity formally requests the Council invoke Resolution 47B, binding arbitration to determine the legal status of New Guangzhou Colony and appropriate remedies for any violations of Council law." The chamber went silent. Binding arbitration was the Council's slowest process. It took years. Mountains of evidence. Endless hearings. By the time a ruling came down, the situation would have long since resolved itself through other means. It was essentially giving up. Thokmer laughed, a sound like boulders grinding together. "The humans accept arbitration. Very wise, very civilized. The Dominion agrees to participate in this process." "Thank you," Chun said. He bowed slightly. "Humanity looks forward to a fair and thorough examination of the facts." "Is that all?" Zathorn asked. He had expected rage, demands, threats, something. "Ambassador Chun, you have just witnessed evidence of a massacre of your people. The Council would understand if you wish to make a stronger statement." Chun's expression did not change. "The evidence speaks for itself, Representative. Humanity trusts in the Council's justice system. We will prepare our case for arbitration and present it through proper channels." The human delegation left. No dramatic exit. No slammed doors. Just a professional retreat from a professional meeting. Zathorn found Chun in the corridor outside. "Ambassador." "A word, if you would." Chun stopped. His team stopped with him, perfectly synchronized. "Of course, Representative." "I must ask," Zathorn said carefully. 20,000 of your people are dead. Your colony is destroyed. And you smile and request arbitration. Where is your anger? Anger is counterproductive to proper legal proceedings, Chun replied. His voice was calm, reasonable. The Council has established processes for resolving disputes. Humanity will follow those processes. But you must feel something. Your biology is similar to several species, I know. You have the same stress hormones, the same fight or flight responses. Yet you show nothing. Chun adjusted his tie with one hand. The gesture was casual, practiced. Representative Zathorn, may I tell you something about human history? Please. For most of our existence as a species, we were prey animals, not predators. We were hunted by creatures stronger, faster, and more dangerous than us. Do you know how we survived? Zahcern's predator instincts stirred. How? We learned to wait, to plan, to separate what we feel from what we do. A human being can be terrified and still think, can be grieving and still act, can be enraged and still smile. Chan's eyes met Zathorn's, and for the second time, the Vex caught a glimpse of something vast beneath the surface. Our emotions do not control us, Representative. We control them, and we use them when we choose to use them. That sounds like a threat. It is an explanation, Chun said. Good day, Representative. The humans walked away, leaving Zathorn alone in the corridor. He stood there for several minutes, processing what he had just heard. Then he returned to his office and began making calls. Quiet calls to intelligence services, security analysts, military advisors. He asked them all the same question. What do we actually know about human history? About how they wage war? The answers that came back over the following days made his blood run cold. Humans did not just fight wars. They planned them across generations. They held grudges for centuries. They had ended conflicts not with final battles, but with systematic campaigns that destroyed enemy infrastructure, economy, culture, and will to resist. And they did it all while maintaining perfect diplomatic courtesy. Zathorn made another note in his log. Recommend close monitoring of human activities related to Krell Dominion. Suspect arbitration is not the true strategy. Suspect humans have not shown their actual response. Wait and observe. In his private chambers, Ambassador Chun removed his suit jacket and hung it carefully. His hands were steady. His breathing was controlled. He sat down at his desk and opened a secured communication channel. Status? A voice asked from Earth. Arbitration accepted by all parties, Chun reported. The Council believes we are simply processing grief through legal channels. And the operation? Begins immediately, Chun said. His voice remained calm, but now there was something underneath it. Something cold and patient and absolutely certain. They killed our children. So we will kill their empire. Slowly, legally, completely. Understood. Earth sends its regards. The channel closed. Chum sat in silence for a moment. Then he stood, put his jacket back on, and went to dinner with 3 other council representatives. He smiled. He laughed at their jokes. He was charming and engaging and perfectly professional. No one suspected a thing. 15 months after the massacre, the Krell Dominion began to notice problems. Nothing dramatic. Just small inefficiencies appearing throughout their empire. Supply shipments delayed by paperwork errors. Trade deals falling through at the last moment due to currency fluctuations. Minor protests on subject worlds that somehow always attracted significant media attention. Representative Thokmer dismissed these issues as normal fluctuations in running a 400-planet empire. His advisors agreed. The economy was strong. The military was powerful. A few protesters meant nothing. Then things began to escalate. A Krell mining consortium tried to purchase titanium from a human trading company. The deal was signed, the payments processed, the ore shipped. But when it arrived, quality inspections revealed the titanium was slightly below specification. Not enough to be useless, but enough to require reprocessing. The reprocessing cost more than the original purchase. The human company apologized profusely and refunded the money, but the Krell consortium had already committed to delivery contracts they could not fulfill. This happened again and again, always with different human companies, always with slightly different problems, always perfectly legal, always apologized for, always costing the Krell more than they gained. Krell financial analysts noticed that every transaction with human entities somehow ended up net negative. They brought this to Thokmer's attention. He ordered an investigation. The investigation found nothing illegal. Humans were honoring every contract, following every regulation. It was just bad luck, market conditions, normal business risk. On the Krull subject world of Takanash, a human tourist named Sarah Williams arrived. She was a teacher from Earth, on vacation, visiting cultural sites. She stayed in local hotels, ate at local restaurants, talked to local Takanash about their history and culture. 3 weeks after she left, protests erupted in Takanash's capital. The protesters carried signs with information about Krull war crimes that Sarah had mentioned casually in conversations. Information that was publicly available but had never been compiled so clearly before. Information that was absolutely accurate and absolutely damaging. Krull security forces arrested the protest leaders. Human journalists happened to be on Takanash covering a different story. They recorded the arrests, published the footage, interviewed the families of those arrested. All perfectly legal, all properly credentialed, all absolutely devastating to Krull public relations. This pattern repeated across 7 subject worlds. Human tourists, human journalists, human teachers, each one polite, friendly, and perfectly legal. Each one somehow spreading information that sparked unrest. Zathorn watched all of this from his position on the Council Security Committee. He compiled reports, tracked patterns, ran probability analyses. The numbers were impossible. The chances of this many coincidences all working against the Krull were astronomical. He requested a meeting with Ambassador Chun. They met in a neutral garden, a space station habitat filled with plants from 100 worlds. Chen was feeding small flying creatures that looked like birds but were actually symbiotic fungi. He wore casual clothes, not his usual suit, but his posture remained perfect. Representative Zethon, Chun said warmly. This is a pleasant surprise. I did not expect to see you outside formal council sessions. I wanted to speak informally, Zethorn said. He settled onto a bench designed for beings with 4 legs. About patterns I have noticed. Patterns? The Krull Dominion is experiencing significant difficulties. Economic troubles. Political unrest among their subjects. Public relations disasters. All of this coincidentally involving human citizens in some capacity. Chun scattered more food for the fungi birds. I have heard about their troubles. Unfortunate. The Dominion seemed so stable just a year ago. The probability of this occurring naturally is less than 0.001%, Zathorn said. My analyst believes someone is orchestrating these events. That would require tremendous coordination, Chun said, and would likely violate several council laws regarding economic warfare and interference in member states' internal affairs. Yes, it would. Chun turned to face Zathorn directly. Representative, if you are asking whether humanity is violating council law, the answer is no. Every human citizen acting within Krull space is following all regulations. Every business transaction is legal. Every journalistic piece is factually accurate. Every tourist is visiting lawfully. And yet the effect is the same as if you were waging war, is it? Chun sat on a bench across from Zathorn. War involves violence, destruction, death. We have killed no one, destroyed nothing. We have simply participated in the galactic economy and exercised our rights as council members. If the Krull are suffering, perhaps it is because their empire was built on foundations that could not withstand honest scrutiny. Zathorn leaned forward. You are dismantling them. We are doing business with them, Chun corrected. If that business happens to be unprofitable for them, that is unfortunate but not illegal. If our citizens happen to share factual information that inspires others to question their government, that is free speech, not warfare. This is revenge. For New Guangzhou, Chun's expression did not change, but something in his eyes did. That vast cold thing Zathorn had glimpsed before surfaced for just a moment. Representative Zathorn, revenge would be launching missiles at Krull worlds. Revenge would be assassinating their leaders. Revenge would be everything they did to us, returned with interest. He stood and walked to the garden's edge, looking out at the stars beyond the transparent wall. What we are doing is much simpler. We are showing the galaxy what the Krull truly are. We are removing the illusions that protected them. We are creating conditions where their victims can save themselves. By destroying their economy. By fomenting rebellion. By trading fairly and speaking truth, Chine said. If those things destroy them, they destroyed themselves long ago. We are simply making it visible. We are simply making it visible. Zatham felt something like respect mixing with his fear. You planned this. From the moment you smiled at Thokmer in the council chamber. We planned for many possibilities, Chun admitted. Humanity learned long ago that the best way to defeat an enemy is not to fight their strength. It is to make their strength irrelevant. And arbitration? Proceeding as scheduled. We will present our case in another 8 months. We will win. The colony will be returned to us. But by then, it will not matter, because the Krull will have far larger problems than one disputed planet. Chum turned back to Zathorn. You seem troubled, Representative. I am. Reconsidering my understanding of your species, Zathorn said carefully. When you first came before the council, I thought you were prey animals pretending to be civilized. Now I wonder if you are predators pretending to be prey. Chun smiled. Not his professional diplomat smile. Something genuine, almost sad. We are neither, Representative. We are survivors. And survivors do whatever is necessary to ensure the ones who harm them never do so again. The council will eventually realize what you are doing. Perhaps, Chun agreed. But by then, it will not matter. The Krull will serve as an example. Touch humanity, and we will not simply strike back. We will ensure you become a cautionary tale told to children across the galaxy. We will make sure that harming humans is not just dangerous, but unprofitable, unsustainable, and ultimately fatal to everything you have built. He offered his hand in the human gesture of farewell. Zathorn touched it with one claw, completing the gesture. Thank you for your time, Representative, Chun said. I have enjoyed our conversation. Please feel free to include it in any reports you file with the Council Security Committee. Everything I have said is true, and none of it violates any law. Zathorn left the garden feeling like he had just witnessed something unprecedented in galactic history. A species that waged war not with weapons, but with patience, information, and economic leverage. A species that could smile while dismantling empires. He filed his report. The council read it. They did nothing, because Chun was right. None of it was illegal. It was just terrifyingly effective. On Earth, in a secure facility beneath Geneva, a team of analysts updated their models. The Krell Dominion had 6 months, maybe 8, before complete economic collapse. After that, the Civil War would begin. After that, the client species would declare independence. After that, there would be nothing left but a cautionary tale. They had killed 20,000 humans. So humanity was killing an empire. Slowly, legally, professionally. And they were doing it while maintaining perfect diplomatic courtesy the entire time. 18 months and 4 days after the New Guangzhou massacre. The Krell Dominion fractured dot. It did not collapse all at once. Empires never did. Instead, it began with 3 client species declaring independence on the same day, coordinated perfectly despite being separated by hundreds of light years. Then the Krell stock markets crashed as investors realized the tributary system that funded their economy was dissolving. Then military units stationed on subject worlds refused orders, questioning why they should fight for a government that could not pay them. Within 2 weeks, the Dominion was at war with itself. Not because anyone had attacked them, but because the structures holding their empire together had been quietly eroded until nothing remained but the illusion of power. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. The chamber was chaos. Representatives shouting accusations. The Krell delegation demanding intervention. Others calling for investigations. A few simply watching in stunned silence as one of the galaxy's major powers disintegrated in real time. Ambassador Chun sat quietly in the human delegation section. Wearing his usual black suit, his hands folded on the table in front of him. He had not spoken yet. Had not needed to. The evidence played itself out on holographic displays throughout the chamber. Zethorn, presiding over the session as senior security representative, finally called for order. The chamber gradually quieted. This council must address the situation developing within Krell space, Zethorn said. His voice was steady, but he kept glancing at Chun. Representative Thokmer, you have requested council military intervention to stabilize your government. You claim external forces have orchestrated this collapse. Thokmer stood, and for the first time since Zethorn had known him, the massive Krell looked diminished, tired. The humans did this, he said. Everyone knows it. They have been systematically destroying our economy, spreading propaganda among our subjects, undermining our authority. This is an act of war disguised as business. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several representatives looked at Chun, waiting for his response. Chun stood slowly. He adjusted his tie, that small gesture that Zethorn had come to recognize as Chun preparing to speak. Representative Thokmer makes serious accusations. I am happy to address them directly. He tapped his tablet. Data flowed to every representative's display. This is a comprehensive record of every human interaction with the Krell Dominion over the past 18 months. Every business transaction, every tourist visit, every piece of journalism, every cultural exchange. Chun walked to the center of the chamber as he spoke, his voice carrying clearly. You will find that 100% of these interactions followed council law. Every trade agreement was honored. Every contract was fulfilled, though market conditions sometimes made them unprofitable for the Krell. Every piece of journalism was factually accurate, though the facts were often unflattering. Every tourist followed local regulations, though they sometimes shared historical information with the people they met. Technically legal is not the same as innocent, another representative interjected. The pattern is clear. You targeted them. We participated in the galactic economy, Chun said simply. If the Krell economy could not handle honest competition, that reveals a weakness in their system, not a crime in ours. Thokmer's claws extended. You speak of honesty? Your people spread lies, turned our subjects against us, sabotaged our trade. Name one lie, Chun said. His voice remained calm, but something in it had changed. Harder now, colder. Present evidence of a single false statement any human made. Show proof of actual sabotage, not just business deals that happen to favor us. Demonstrate that any human violated any law. The chamber waited. Thokmar's mouth worked, but no words came. Because there was no evidence. Just pattern. Just outcome. Just the slow, methodical destruction of everything the Krell had built. Zethorn spoke carefully. Ambassador Chun, the Council recognizes that your actions appear to have been legal. But the question remains, did humanity orchestrate this collapse as retaliation for New Guangzhou? Chun turned to face Zethorn directly. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he smiled, and it was not his diplomatic smile. It was something genuine and utterly cold. Representative Zethorn, you asked the wrong question. The right question is, what did the Krell expect would happen when they murdered 20,000 of our people? He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of delegates from dozens of species. Did they think we would forget? That we would accept some compensation and move on? That we would be grateful for the Council's thoughts and prayers while our children's ashes still glowed on New Guangzhou? His voice was still controlled, still measured, but now something vast moved beneath it. Something that had been there all along, compressed and directed with absolute precision. Humanity smiled. We followed your laws. We participated in your arbitration process. We maintained diplomatic courtesy through every interaction. And while we did all of this, we also made certain that the species which committed genocide against us understood the consequences of their choice. Consequences? Thokmar spat. You destroyed us. No, Chun said softly. You destroyed yourselves decades ago when you built an empire on oppression and violence. We simply removed the illusions that hid your weakness. We simply created conditions where your subjects could see you clearly and choose freedom. We simply ensured that your economy could not sustain itself without the exploitation you called governance. He walked back toward his seat but did not sit. Every business deal we made was fair by Council standards. If Krell companies lost money, it was because they had been surviving on unfair advantages that free competition removed. Every piece of information we shared was accurate. If it inspired rebellion, it was because the truth of Krell rule was intolerable to those suffering under it. Every legal right we exercised was one you granted us when we joined this council. This is revenge, another representative said. You cannot deny it. I do not deny it, Chun said, and the chamber went silent. We are taking revenge, but we are doing it your way, the civilized way, the legal way, the way that respects council law and process. Because that is what you demanded of us when you gave us provisional membership. You said, follow the rules, respect the system, trust in our justice. He gestured at the data still displayed around the chamber. So we followed every rule. We respected every system. And we demonstrated that your justice, while slow, can be absolutely thorough when applied correctly. Zathorn felt something crystallize in his understanding. You made them an example. Yes, Chun said simply. The Krell Dominion killed 20,000 humans and calculated that the benefits outweighed the risks. They were wrong. Now, when any species considers harming humanity, they will remember what happened to the Krell. They will remember that we do not simply strike back with military force. We dismantle, systematically, legally, completely. That is a threat to the entire council, a representative protested. No, Chun said. It is a promise to every species here that humanity takes the council's laws seriously. More seriously, perhaps, than some of you realized was possible. We have proven that within your system, with your rules, it is possible to ensure that genocide has consequences. Real consequences. Permanent consequences. He turned to Thokmar. Your empire is falling because you built it on violence. Because you ruled through fear rather than consent. Because you thought power was enough to protect you from justice. You were wrong. And what of mercy? Zathorn asked quietly. What of forgiveness? Chun's expression softened slightly. Mercy is for accidents and mistakes. The Krell did not accidentally massacre a colony. They did not mistakenly kill our children. They made a choice. And mercy for them would be cruelty to their future victims. He sat down finally, his posture perfect, his suit unwrinkled despite the tension in the chamber. The arbitration hearing is scheduled for next month. I assume, given current circumstances, the Krell will be unable to contest our claim to New Guangzhou. We will accept its return and a formal acknowledgement that the massacre was a violation of council law. Beyond that, we have no further demands. Because you have already taken everything else, Thogmer said bitterly. We have taken nothing, Chun corrected. Your subjects took their freedom. Your economy collapsed under honest competition. Your government lost legitimacy through its own actions. We simply created conditions where truth mattered more than military force. The chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives demanded sanctions against humanity for destabilizing a member state. Others praised humanity's restraint in not responding militarily. A few simply sat in stunned silence, recalculating their understanding of the young species they had accepted into the council. Zathon watched Chen sit calmly through it all, occasionally taking notes on his tablet, maintaining that perfect diplomatic composure. And he finally understood what he was seeing. Humanity had not changed their behavior at all. From the moment they entered the council, they had been exactly what they appeared to be, a species that smiled, followed rules, and patiently pursued their objectives without deviation or hesitation. The Krell had mistaken this for weakness. It was actually the most dangerous form of strength, thought the Vokang. The council officially recognized that the Krell massacre violated council law. New Guangzhou was returned to human administration. Economic aid was offered to the fragmenting Dominion to prevent humanitarian disasters among civilian populations. No sanctions against humanity. No punishment, because they had broken no laws. Within a week, the Krell Dominion officially dissolved. The client species formed their own governments. The Krell home world retained independence, but lost 400 planets in a matter of days. Their empire, which had taken 3 centuries to build, was gone in 18 months. Zathon found Chun one last time in the same garden where they had spoken before. The ambassador was again fungi birds, looking peaceful and content. You won, Zathorn said. We survived, Chun corrected. We ensured it will not happen again. And if another species threatens humanity, will you do this to them as well? Chum scattered the last of the food and turned to face Zasar. We will do what we always do, Representative. We will smile. We will follow the rules. We will be patient. And we will ensure that cruelty toward humanity costs more than anyone is willing to pay. He offered his hand. Zathorn took it. Your species terrifies me, the Vex admitted. Good, Chun said gently. Fear is honest. Fear can prevent mistakes. The Krell were not afraid, and look what it cost them. He released Zathorn's claw and adjusted his tie one final time. Humanity joined the Galactic Council to find friends representative, to build a future in cooperation with other species. We still want that. But we also want every species to understand something simple. We remember. We plan. And we always ensure that those who harm us pay their debts in full. While wearing a suit and smiling, Zathorn said. While wearing a suit and smiling, Chun agreed. Because that is what civilization requires. And humanity is very, very good at being civilized. He walked away, leaving Zathorn alone in the garden. The fungi birds chirped and flew in patterns that seemed almost choreographed. Everything peaceful. Everything calm. Everything perfectly, terrifyingly controlled. Zathor made his final note. Recommend all council members avoid antagonizing humanity. Species demonstrates unprecedented capacity for patient, systematic retaliation while maintaining legal compliance. Military strength irrelevant when compared to economic and informational warfare capabilities. Threat level, maximum. Behavioral assessment. Humanity does not forgive. They simply wait until the right moment to ensure justice is served cold, legal, and complete. He paused, then added one more line. Also recommend updating first contact protocols. Any species meeting humanity should understand. The suit, the smile, and the courtesy are not masks. They are the delivery system for the most patient predator the galaxy has ever seen.